gentlemen, fight fans, welcome to another great episode of Headkicks and Haymakers. I'm your boy Bodkins, and of course with me is Mr. Bobby Blunts and the return of your boy K Witt. Baby, it is not Wednesday, it is Friday night, so you're not don't spaz out. You don't have 2 more days worth of work. It is the lovely Friday night. I'm super busy doing dad stuff all week, so it's just that time of the year. You know how it is. So the boys said, hey, we can hold it down. We can do the show on Friday night when you're ready. So here we are. We got lots to discuss from last Saturday night. We have 2 new champions. Was it Vintage Yan is the new bantamweight champion, almost 4 years after he lost 3 or 4 years after he lost the title, and a new flyweight champion in Joshua Van in a fight that really wasn't a fight. But we got to start with the main event. I see, Bobby, I'm going to start with you. I see a lot of people. First of all, I had it all 5 rounds for Peter Yan. I had 45, 50, 45. Peter Yan. I had that on the night. I almost actually live betted Peter Yan on the Merab walkout. I wish I would have, because when Merab didn't come out with the hat on, I knew something was off, and I should have just followed my gut and live betted Peter Yan right then and there before the bell. But I didn't. I wish I would have won some money. But nonetheless, Peter Yan, Vintage Yan, your thoughts on the main event, and we'll talk about the rest of the card from last Saturday.
I mean, just an all-around incredible performance. He had an answer for every single scenario. I definitely think seeing him the first time helped, but it was, pretty incredible just seeing him. Merab was eventually shooting the takedowns. The first round started, and Merab kind of seemed like he was going to make it a point to stand. Was having some early success, but Petr Yan definitely landed the way heavier shot damage-wise. And then from there on out, Merab was definitely trying to go for the takedown. He kind of does that thing where he grabs his own glove, like when he has the single leg, to kind of improve his grip. And Yan was like elbowing him. And they had everything. Just it would seem so simple to just, nullify the wrestling and beat him up. But every place Merab took the fight, Yan was ready. And it was, I agree. I scored it 50-45. I would say if you wanted to give Merab a round, it would probably be the first.
I didn't think he won the first round.
I don't either. I'm just saying, like, for devil's advocate, because there were some people saying like he got the first. I really don't understand. There was one judge that should never judge again. 48-47 or something. That is just abysmal for like one-way traffic, because to have that type of performance against someone that is a pound for pounder and to just shut him out for 5 rounds like that is just incredible, especially because Yan has lost the title. You see it's so rare for these guys to kind of climb back and get the gold. But he just looked like the much better fighter on that night, and just incredible game plan. You saw him thanking all of his teammates after. You could really see like how much they all put into it. And I think a lot of people just kind of forgot how good he also was. Who knows what would have happened if he never illegally kneed Aljo. And but he got back, and credit to him. It's going to be exciting what he can do in the future.
Yeah, you mentioned that Merab fell in love with the striker and wanted to strike with him. I think, to me, if there's one bantamweight that I'm not going to strike with, it is probably Peter Yan. An elite boxer, guy who, to me, is one of the best. Him and maybe O'Malley, if the best 2 pure strikers in the division, at least at the very top of the division. with your thoughts on, Vintage Yan Saturday. I mean, the guy looked just as good as he did, a few years ago when he beat Jose Aldo for the title.
First of all, guys, I just want to say it's good to be back. I miss the homies, man. Every once in a while, man, I just like cut on the phone and I'm like, man, damn, man, like what crazy shit is Bodkins gonna say tonight? Damn. So I just, so it's exciting to be here, especially after a pay-per-view like this one. So on to the main event, guys. Let me tell you something. The law of averages oftentimes prevails more than not, especially in fighting. If we could just think about 3 title defenses this year, 3, okay. The 4th one would have been the one that I said, yeah, it's a really good, especially with the competition. When it was Peter Yan, I didn't get a chance to be on that episode of the show with you guys, but when I heard it was Peter Yan, I was like, this is the one. This is the one that could tip the apple cart, if you will. Very much like Bobby said, bro, there were people on Twitter who were going, Merab had him in the first round. Yeah, it was sexy. Merab carried him across the ring. That was sexy too. But other than that, I saw the amount of pressure that Peter Yan was putting on him to be a problem. I think a lot of the shots that Merab ate in the beginning, they began to add damage because once again,
those body shots.
Yeah, the body shots were, once he started landing those body shots, those were prevailing. And then, if you've played any sports long enough, you especially sports like when you're on a mat, you're wrestling or something like that, you're gonna get those burns, you're gonna get those scrapes and scratches. And it's going to be really easy for any of them to open up, especially when you're doing it 3-4 times a year. I felt like it was really uncanny to see Merab get opened up like that really easily. Like, what was that? Like mid-second round, kind of, sort of. It was like mid-second. I was like, wait a minute. I didn't even know he had a cut on his nose. And then all of a sudden, the cut on his nose turned to the cut on his forehead. And it just went on and on. And for me, I think that, even as a person who watches MMA, I think the mystique of Merab even got to Merab. Like, once again, I think he thought he could have powered through it. I really feel like he still, to me, did not really like lose, like output. You know what I mean? It wasn't like his output changed. It wasn't like he looked tired. He still looked like Merab. It's just that the definition of what could have beat him was just the overpowering of the physicality that Peter Yan was putting on him. Because it wasn't like they were wrestling, it wasn't like there was a lot of top dominant positions being taken by Peter Yan. Nah, it was a really good peppering. If you get peppered like that 3, 4, 5 rounds, you're going to lose, especially after you've been in the ring 3, 4 times a year. And in your mind, the fight plan, the fight plan may not have changed. You know what I'm saying? For Merab, this still looked like, okay, I'm going to do what I do all the time. There was nothing that looked different in between that I can distinguish. For me, that I could distinguish between fight 1 this year and fight 4. Fight 4 should have been completely different because of who he was facing. And I think I think it's kind of like a slept on.
I think my only pushback is I think he wanted to. What you're saying there on that part, Whit, is like I felt like he wanted to stay in and fight a little bit more.
Yes,
he tried for the takedowns. He was just, to credit to Peter Yan, they were unsuccessful.
Yes.
And Bobby, you said something on last week's show, and I wanted to kind of go back to that. Peter said his hand was broken in that first fight. And you're like, I don't know, if it was or not. Like, I'd hate to say that a fighter, we would learn from Alex, right? When a fighter says he's hurt, he was hurt. And by God, you go back to that fight and how he looked so much different in this fight, that it was one-way traffic the first fight because of the hand issue. And now it's one-way traffic this fight. So was it one-way traffic? A little bit of both, I think, Bobby, because of Peter, the adjustment in the hand, obviously. But also, did Merab just bite off too much more than he could chew with the quick 2-month turnaround, 4th weight cut in the year. This is a guy who just, doesn't really listen to nutritionists. He just stops eating on fight week and cuts it himself. And also, we always credit to Merab in those 4th and 5th rounds, those championship rounds, and not getting tired and putting the pressure on. But one guy that we've always also credited, Peter Yan, as far as those are usually his rounds too, 3, 4, and 5, because those first 2 rounds he's making all those reads. He didn't really do that this start slow rounds 1 and 2, but also you just knew he wasn't going to get tired, much like we've seen some of other Merab's fights.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that benefited Yan the most is he didn't really need to do the data downloading. His team knew exactly what Merab was going to try to do.
Yeah.
And I mean, not only that, he's also technically had 2 fights against Aljo. So I know
3 fights against that whole camp, right? I guess Aljo,
yeah.
that whole.
So
if you think about it,
you learn a little bit there, and because I've had a few extra days to sit on this, and I would say you can't not acknowledge him taking the 4th, title fight and the activity. But what I saw in there was not really that. Like Witt said, Merab was kind of more or less trying to exert the same pressure, and Yan was just shutting it down every time. I mean, I think when he finally landed a takedown, he hopped back up, and I think to myself, like, let's say if there's a scenario that he had a full entire camp and this was 6 months down the line or something, I really expect it to go the same way from how they trained for that fight. I mean, that just seemed like more masterful game planning. So I would be maybe like 5% too much activity and 95% just like the perfect game plan by Yan and his team. Like, I really do think Yan gets a lot more bulk of the credit. And then in the first fight, I went back and rewatched that, and you do see him kind of hesitant to grapple because he doesn't have that hand. And it kind of actually reminded me of the first fight of Merab's, his first defense this year against Umar. Umar was up to 2 rounds, and then from what we know, he pretty much broke his hand and then wilted, and Merab killed him in those last 3. In this scenario, there was really no sense that Merab was ever going to be able to outwork Yan, because he just shut down every time he tried to lay on top of him or exert his pressure. He was just able to stuff it, either use the fence's leverage or just fight the hands perfectly and separate. And those fucking body shots were nasty. Like that 3rd round, he threw that kick, and Merab literally like screams out in pain. And like like Merab ain't the type of guy to show off his poker face. And I think any other guy probably would have got finished right then and there, if not the next round, because he just continued to keep peppering those. So I understand it enough to say I want to see the trilogy immediately because of like this scenario. I get all that. But with how good Merab did, or I'm sorry, how good Yan did, I really do not see it going any other way. And I was not saying that 10 days ago, so a lot has changed from the work that Piotr Yan has put in. And when we end up doing our pound for pound, he will be at the very close to the top. Like, I mean, he'll be higher than Ilya. I can promise you that.
Wow. Okay.
Now hold on there, brother. I don't know, but listen, I just want to jump in. Like, I agree with you, Bobby. For me, it's more like 20-80. 20% too much time in the ring. 80% Peter Yan was ready to get in there and do the damn thing. I honestly think I want to see the rematch happen a little bit faster than normal, but the switch is going to go off from Merab in his head. He's too smart for that. We're going to see Merab take it to Dagestan. Okay, it's going to be a match. It's going to be a lot of hand fighting, a lot of grappling, and way less standing and begging. I think that just for the sake of of a pay-per-view and people watching, Marab wanted to see if he could knock Yan out and kind of out Yan Peter Yan. It didn't work. I think if you go back to the drawing board and we say, hey, look, use the gas tank, wear him out, wear him down. We're going to see way less fighting. You know, some of those championship fights where it's 25 minutes of guys on the mat. I think that's what will happen if Marab is just because he knows that that's what his strength is, you know, and he went into Peter Yan's world and Peter Yan showed him, hey, look, I'm telling you, and just like you said, bro, those body shots, they were playing the replays all night long, and he was landing on just like the edge of your rib cage. You know what I'm saying? Like the last rib that you have, and he was caving it in, bro. I give Marab 100% credit. Like you said, though, if they ever do that thing like ESPN does with the NFL, and they got that parabolic mic where we can like hear the sounds of those body shots, like those things were nasty, bro. So, you know, I'm really, yeah, tickling the liver. I'm really out here, you know, giving Peter Yan his credit. But I think if the rematch happens, Marab is not going to let him have that type of advantage at all. That would be the smart thing.
Go ahead, Bobby. I know you got something to add here real quick.
Well, like, because that to me was, I do not think Marab did this whole trying to do an exciting fight thing. He attempted, like, he abandoned that game plan immediately, and he attempted to take him to, and Yan just forced him to strike. And
I think it's a little bit of both. I do feel like Marab wanted to put on an exciting fight and wanted to throw hands, which is, again, the wrong person to do that with is Peter Yan. And I think to me, I don't really know where I lie in as far as like, I think it's just 50-50. Like, I'm going to chalk it up to 50-50. It's 1-1. Both guys got 50-45 in each fight. So it's not even like the two fights were close, right? Like each fight. So if you want to tell me that Jan's hand was broken, and who am I to say that it wasn't in that first fight, and Marab mopped the floor with him. And then to me, like, I do feel like the fourth weight cut, the fourth, you know, fight in the year, not even just the fourth fight, right? The 2-month quick turnaround, I think was a lot to ask of Marab. Now he raised the flag, right? Said he'll do it. That's what he wanted, and he got what he wanted. So I do think that, you know, I do think like that comes into play. You're asking somebody to cut weight again in less than 2 months after their first fight. A guy who, you know, it is a little tougher to make 135. He's getting up there in age as well. And, you know, so I'm going to say it's a wash across the board as far as like excuses, not really excuses, but on why each one won the way they won. I'm with you, Bobby. If Marab needs to take some time, and whenever he is back, I think he directly gets a title shot. I've seen some people kind of push back against that. I believe that Marab right now, you could make a very well case that he's the bantamweight GOAT, and what he did this year, he very well deserves a rematch. It's not, you know, to me, it's 1-1. If this was just 50, if they didn't have the history and Peter Yan just came in there and destroyed him the first time, I might sing a different tune. But it's 1-1. Both guys could say, hey, I was fatigued, I had a broken hand, have their own thing that why they lost their fight that they lost. So to me, put Marab whenever he's ready. If it's going to be a while, then you know, you don't want to hold up the division, then Peter can fight somebody else. But when Marab's ready, he gets the first crack.
Again, I have no issue with it. However, if he does, I think he's going to lose because the whole reason Marab or Yan was able to have so much success is because he was able to build back up to that victory. And I do not see one full training camp really being able to fix this. And mainly because I am a big fan of John Wood, but on Saturday night, there were way too many cooks in the kitchen. The fact that John Wood told Merab that he was up 3 rounds when he literally just probably got his rib broken at the end of the fight getting kicked. I don't know if it's because, he has Aljo between him saying something, and then obviously you have Longo there. You saw him, John Wood, trying to communicate with him, and he's looking outside the cage, getting other advice. And obviously he's done it his whole career like this, so I don't really want to make too much of it, but it was because Yan had just as many guys in his corner, but there was one specific guy giving him all the instructions, and he was just laser focused and locked in. And I would never tell Ray Longo or Aljo to get lost when they've been on this journey with Merab, but you might want to consider just having one person telling him this information. Like, after the first round, to me, it looked like Aljo saw a ghost, and he looked extremely concerned. Rogan didn't point that out to like the 5th round, but I mean, it was I don't know. I get the whole rematch thing. I'm not trying to say he doesn't deserve it. I just don't know if that's actually the best thing for his career long term. But then when you do mention like the age and stuff, that's where I'm kind of like, is he actually just slowing down? Because, I mean, you can make an argument of that if you compare this fight and the Sandhagen fight. Sandhagen was able to get off him in the first round. So if he is slowing down, you probably do want to just immediately get him right back in there and have him fight Yan. But that's why I'm so concerned about the rematch. I just don't really know what else will change by like spring. To me, this is like a shoe-in trilogy to just throw on the White House. Like, I don't like talking about the stupid card, but like time-wise, June, I think would be perfect.
I think Merab's going to want to come back and fight before that.
Yeah, and if he does, I really have no faith that it will go any differently.
But before Saturday, we had no faith that Peter was going to do what he did either. You know what I mean? And that's why we love the sport, though.
That's why we love it, man. And look, if it, the president said he wants to have as many as 6 titles.
Well, he said 8 to 9. There's only like eight weight classes.
I don't know what he was talking about, but he said he wants all title fights, man. That's what the president wants. We got to give him
20 title fights on the White House.
We're gonna have all the titles. I know those guys. They're all really nice. We're gonna hang out with them. I promise. But for real though, I really think if they give it enough time and give it a really good camp, and just like you said, I think Aljo is really like his friend. Like, if I'm watching my friend get waxed, you know what I mean? Like, I know he can come back. I know that's what he was thinking the whole time. Yeah, you could do it. And then by the 4th round, he was like, "This don't look good."
Aljo told him to get on the knees, and hopefully that Yan will throw an illegal strike and we can get out of here. Is what Aljo.
And I don't get them telling him, like, going into the 5th round, they literally told him to essentially hold him up against the fence, and that would indicate that they thought he was well ahead to where he could coast. And I mean, I just don't
know how they thought he was up 3 rounds. I mean,
John Wood has already kind of like atoned for it. He was asked about it, and he said, in retro, but like his answer to me kind of like made me think of my point of there are too many cooks in the kitchen, because that's like basically what he was describing. So I don't know. I mean, I'm never gonna like count Merab out, but it was just the masterclass that Yan put on was.
It was vintage Yan. It was the best performance we've seen of him since that knee to Aljo's dome.
Yeah, it was pre-pandemic Yan, pretty much. It was. And yeah, I mean, he's only going to get better. I think, like, in the end, it will be an exciting thing for the division overall, even if they do the trilogy. And this is a fight, even though it was so wide-sided on both accounts, you would want to just see immediately again. So, Paramount Plus is going to want to milk the word trilogy, So.
Yeah. Well,
the new stuff happens next month.
The only aspect is, here's the thing though. There's this guy out there that everybody loves, and he's the UFC cash cow, and his name's Sean O'Malley. And if Sean goes in and beats Song Yadong next month, or is it next month? Yeah, next month. He very well could be next in line for the rematch of Peter Yan. And sign me up for it, because that's a good fight. 5 rounds. We get what we wanted, what we've wanted.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be mad about it. At the same time,
What if that's the round robin, right?
Well,
Yan can't beat Sean, and then Merab can beat Sean. Sean can't beat Merab. It's just a round robin between the 3 of them.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but at the same time, I think we're counting our chickens before they hatch, because I think Song has a pretty good chance of
I'm not saying that O'Malley's going to go in there and dog walk him at all. I'm just saying, like, it's a possibility. And it's a very high possibility that Sean O'Malley gets another crack at the title with just the 1 win over Song, if Peter's still the champion.
Yeah, the one thing
Umar's on that same card too, and Umar could try to make claim.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I will say, it is good to see that Dana White does have Merab's back, because at the start of his reign, you could not even fathom him ever getting an immediate rematch.
They prayed for him to lose.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a nice little caveat on the side to see that, he still has his back. He knows he's a company man, and they are going to reward him. So I totally get it. And but yeah, I mean, I guess if you want to call anyone a winner on Saturday, you could make the case for O'Malley, because that history. And it would be pretty ironic if a fucking title had to be attached to it, because we've just wanted 5 rounds. But it absolutely would not shock me.
So an O'Malley slugfest out here in the street somewhere is what we thinking. O'Malley Yan slugfest. Huh?
I mean, Merab needs the immediate rematch whenever he's ready, and if UFC deserves, and Bobby, you hinted that Merab's been the ultimate company man, especially this year. When you are co-main or main event 4 pay-per-views in a calendar year, in 12 months, this whole year. Yeah, and we'll get to the end of the year awards, and maybe Merab could still be fighter of the year and all that. But man, I mean, you go 3-1 in a year, and we're talking championship rounds and against the most elite. Like, I think you get a pass here, and you get the immediate rematch. I'm unlike you, Bobby. I'm not so sure that I'm not going to just say it's Yan all the way, because again, Saturday, if you would have asked me going in, I said there's no way I didn't see a path for victory for Peter Yan. So, and then we saw a path for victory. Like it was masterclass. I can't get over how good Peter Yan looked on Saturday night.
Yeah, I think why I'm just so definitive with it is just because Merab did everything he kind of wanted to do in the fight.
It just didn't work. Yeah.
But no, I get it. And definitely. I think Yan should have his hat thrown in for fighter of the year. Because if you fucking 50-45, the number 2 pound for pound guy, I mean, especially that should definitely count for something.
Yeah. Let's move to the co-main event. Not much to say, because not much happened. 26 seconds into the fight, Pantoja kind of flies in the air, puts his hand down, and his elbow explodes. And Joshua Van is your new flyweight champion. I don't want to say unfortunately, just more of unfortunately how the fight occurred, and the fight that we never really got to see. It sucks that Pantoja's reign ended this way, and hopefully he'll be able to get back in there sooner rather than later. What's your thoughts there, Whit?
First of all, man, so Joshua Van is out here, and I want to say that in the post fight, he did give Pantoja some real kudos because of how it went. But just from the looks from the upstart, man, Pantoja looked damn good. Like just getting in the ring, Pantoja looked like a whole new guy, in this occasion. But the first little bit of exchange from Josh Van kind of gave me a bit of a it gave me a little bit of that. Maybe he's ready. You know what I mean? Maybe he is. And it wasn't nothing but really like 2 or 3 strikes. But those 2 or 3 was enough of an exchange for me to go, okay, he's not just gonna, kind of falter to the wayside and kind of let Pantoja, do away with him, like we've seen on a few of his title defenses. But man, the thoughts in my brain as any other time, I'm an older guy. Y'all know that we're at that age now where if I fall down, I'm gonna be down, and your natural instinct is to try and catch your body weight with your hand. And now I'm skeptical of everything. I don't want to. Boy, I got hospital socks on because they got grip on it. I don't want to fall and my elbow explode like Pantoja. I mean, for me, it's really unfortunate that something like you said, Bikers, that something like this took away another probably historic title run. You know what I mean? The guy who was the guy for that division for a long time. Another, I think, this would have been his third.
It's like his 5th, I think.
This year, right? Yeah, okay, 5th. But I'm saying, but this year,
I think title defense wise, like that title defense wise.
Yeah, the
second fight of the year. Yeah,
right. Second fight of the year, second or third. That's what I thought. But I mean, still, yeah, the lower Pantoja would have been so much more higher if he would have been Joshua Van. And Joshua Van is awesome, dog. Let me tell you, I give the 1 or 2 times that I wasn't on the show that you guys talked about him, and he had some really, really, really pressure fights. Like I was like, okay, I see why this is the guy we want to put up there with a guy like Pantoja. But kudos to him, kudos to being a real one about it. And he's definitely already put it out there like, hey, whenever Pantoja is ready, like that's the fight that's going to have to happen, period. And in my mind, I want to ask you guys this, and I am not referring to anything in a negative light that we've seen in the past, but if an eye poke is done and it's pretty much justified that the fighter can't see, now it's a no contest. Why is that exploding elbow not a no contest?
Because it wasn't a foul. It wasn't a foul. That's why.
Okay, it wasn't a foul. That makes sense.
Yeah. He didn't fly in the air on his own, and he was pushed.
Joshua Van kind of picked him up and put him. Yeah,
and like Daniel Cormier, like he actually said on the broadcast afterwards, this is worse than the Aspinall situation. Shut the fuck up and eat some popcorn. That is the most retarded thing I have ever heard him say. And he had a very bad night last night. And yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No. I mean, it's a good point. Like, I don't think it was worse than the Aspinall situation.
That's just a comical thing to say. Like, one was an illegal maneuver that is like a big problem in the sport, and another thing is what you would call fighting, like those like freaks act.
To me, it's just no different than Anderson Silva breaking his leg or when Conor broke his. It's no different. Like that's the illegal strike happened. It's just a freak accident. You know what I mean? It is.
Yeah.
I wanted to throw that in there, though. I think what he was referring to was the anticipation to see Tom Aspinall fight that time was really, really high. We wanted to see the anticipation to see Joshua Van and Pantoja go at it.
If that's the case, that's probably true.
He was specifically talking about him winning the belt that way. So that's why I'm throwing so much shade at it.
I get you. And people, I haven't really seen a whole lot of it. Maybe because I have normal fucking people on my timeline, I think. But people, I know that there's haters out there the way that Josh Van, they didn't like the way Josh Van acted when he won the title. The kid's 23 fucking years old. I mean, he just won the title. He just won, this is going to change his life money-wise. The next fight, he's going to, I don't know, who knows how they're doing these pay-per-view points or whatever, but he's going to get the bump, right? So, he's going to give him a break. And then he's handled the things afterwards. Hey, whenever Pantoja's back, we're running it back right away like he deserves it. Even if they would have had a 5-round war and he would have won it, they probably run it back to Pantoja for the simple fact that Pantoja was the long-standing champion for forever and a day. But Bobby, your thoughts there?
I mean, I don't know, man. The entire moment just hurt my soul.
Sucked. It sucked. Yeah. Yeah. Like, you were so excited, Bobby, for this incredible fight. We didn't even get it.
Because when I was watching it in real time, the sequence happened and I witnessed it happen. And then I realized it was going to be a TKO and Joshua Van won. And I jumped up cheering because I was so happy for Joshua Van. And then it hit my mind that what just fucking happened to Pantoja. So if I'm thinking like that, imagine the guy that just won the title that way. And anyone that has a problem with him celebrating needs to go outside and touch some fucking grass. That is the most moronic take ever. The kid was not even ranked this year, and then he became number one and he won the title. I mean, just complete nonsense. And you feel for both guys. You saw Pantoja today. He has his elbow in a thing. He got a kettlebell. He wants to immediately get back in there as he should. And credit to Pantoja, the champion he is, making the post about, this isn't about me. This was meant to be Josh's moment. There are so many champions that just would not have that.
Imagine John Jones losing the,
and so I don't know. It's just it's unfortunate, obviously, just because we were robbed of such a great fight. I mean, I had people DMing me
in the 26 in the 10 seconds. Pantoja came on quick and put the pressure on Van. I don't know if you noticed that, but
from what I saw is we were going to get the fight. I kind of thought we were going to see because Pantoja was going to meet him in the center.
Yeah.
And Van wasn't really going to, step back. So
yeah, it was going to be in a phone booth. That's what I thought. Yeah.
And I really hope that the UFC waits to get Pantoja's medical report, because the reporting on the broadcast is almost like a different thing. They were trying to say it was a dislocated shoulder.
That was Dana at the presser for some odd reason, and I think anybody who could watch that be like, that looked like a fucking elbow to me.
But then, on the post fight, Megan O'Leary, when Rogan and all them talk after the fights, Megan O'Leary came on twice and had to repeat it because they were like, What do you mean a dislocated shoulder? Because they pretty much said it dislocated and they popped it back in. And they were like, but we just saw his elbow snap in half. What do you mean dislocated shoulder? So maybe something
it was
like
both. Maybe it was both.
Yeah.
And
then after that, she tweeted it and said, yes, for the third time, it is a dislocated shoulder. And then obviously his team reveals it was not, it was the elbow. So,
but guys, I'm not a doctor yet.
Yeah, and see, that's very true. And
I'm no doctor either. But it should look like an elbow to me.
Yeah, and so I'm just hoping before the UFC makes their decision, because I've already heard the presser and then talking about possibly going to Japan and stuff. And I really hope they just wait for Pantoja's prognosis to see, because if we're talking 6 months, I would absolutely wait and just.
It doesn't sound like Van wants to wait. He wants to fight 3-4 times again.
And I understand that because that's always been his mentality, and he's young. So
he wants to go. Yeah. Yeah.
And speaking of maybe what's next for him, if it's not Pantoja, and again, I think we're all in the sentiment. As soon as Pantoja's healthy, he gets the crack at the title. Hopefully, it's still Josh Van because I want to see that fight. But the guy that could be Josh Van's next opponent could have been a guy that fought right before him, and Tatsuyura is the first guy to ever finish Brandon Moreno. Early stoppage there, Bobby? I didn't think so.
I had absolutely no problem with it. He wasn't going anywhere. He was just going to take more damage. I knew people were going to have issue with it, so I'm not really mad that they do because, I mean, you could probably let it go longer, but I didn't really see the point. I mean, he was just going to take more damage. So I'm completely fine with it. And
is this like another episode of literally us seeing Brandon Moreno like get TKO and then him look up like, but I still got it. Like I'm still here. I swear this.
Yeah, he didn't even protest it that hard.
No.
It was that like I think just kind of speaks to the damage that he was actually taking. And the round was the first round was like pretty much a stalemate. Because there was a submission attempt that was going nowhere.
Yeah, he just sat there with it, like trying to like kind of had a body lock on him and just didn't do anything.
I would have probably separated them at some point. Like I know technically they're in a position and you got to let them work, but that's kind of like one of those gray areas where you really. It
would have been interesting how they would have judged that. I guess you had to judge it for Moreno if we would have saw it go the distance there.
Yeah, it was. But I don't know. It was a really good bounce back performance in the second round, and he just got him down and took the back, and that was. All she wrote. And like Moreno's already booked for like UFC Mexico. I don't like that. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, to me that makes
have him on the card, bro. Gotta have him on the card.
But to that when I say like it makes me think that I go back to my previous question was like earlier stoppage, like maybe it was early stoppage because like Moreno's usually not a guy that's gonna rush right back in there. So obviously he feels pretty healthy after that fight. So either it was like you know what I mean? So maybe it was a slight early stoppage because like Moreno's quickly turned her right back around fighting on the Mexico card in February.
Yeah, I think it was a scenario where he just kind of
bad position.
Bad position and took full damage. So yeah, he could completely go, and he probably just wants to get it back. I believe it's even a main event, which is kind of another thing we should talk about. But
we got 6 weeks after this week, Bobby, to talk about all the nonsense.
Yeah, I was being sarcastic, but
so much nonsense, bro. So much nonsense.
We got a couple quick shout outs before we look at this week's card. How about Peyton Talbot? What he did to the Olympic gold medalist in Henry Cejudo's final fight with actually taking down Henry Cejudo. Who would have thought 12 months ago when we saw Peyton get just mopped to the floor in wrestling, actually takes down an Olympic wrestler 12 months later and wins the fight.
Yeah, man, this was one of the ones I really wanted to keep my eye on. I was definitely I think that there's more than one way to kind of go out as a fighter in the UFC. More than one way. And one of them is like how Triple C went out. It's still on your shield, still going at it, giving it his all. They had some really tough exchanges, you know what I mean? And I give Triple C 100%. And then, at the end of the fight, he's over looking at Dana like, thank you, bro. He had me. Like, he was good tonight. Like, and literally, we get it. Triple C has been in there. He's been in some wars. He did one of the unthinkable, things in UFC history, doing the champ. I mean, I get it. And to end that way, even though it's not a W, even though it's not a win, it's still a hard fought, like it's a hard fought victory. He didn't go out like no chump. He really went out there and gave it his all. He didn't get knocked out. The fight was actually exciting to me. Peyton Talbot does get, for even though I'm talking highly about Triple C, Peyton Talbot gets a lot of credit for going out there and giving it his all. You know what I mean? And really, not kind of pussyfooting because it's an old man. Nah, I'm going to give this old man everything I got. This is his last fight. He's going to know he fought me last. And I can respect that. And I think in the end, Triple C does too. But I really dig that montage. It started off one way. And then, of course, when, the UFC became to get more popular, yeah, he did kind of lean into that king of cringe. Yeah, he was a little corny. Yeah, we know that. But the majority of those times when he was being real corny, he got in that ring and whooped ass. Okay, let's keep it real funky right quick. He got in that ring and showed why he was who he was. So the press conferences might have been corny. What he said was corny. What he wore was corny. But in that ring, he was one of a kind. And that Mighty Mouse thing, that guy, here goes this cat. Yeah, fighting Mighty Mouse back then. That was a dream in itself to have that be a thing that someone else got to accomplish. So I really want to give a big shout out to Triple C, but a even bigger shout out to Peyton Talbot for really going out there and showing us what he's worth. And I'm sure because of that, Uncle Dana is going to give him some more love on a couple fight nights. Maybe he's going to headline a fight night or something in 2026. I think that'd be great. A nice little Peyton Talbot main event, or co-main event on a UFC fight night.
Yeah, I don't hate it. And Bobby, if I would have told you after we watched Peyton Talbot get mopped to the floor in January that he would be ranked like 10 or 11, I think right now, back then you probably would have asked me what drugs I was smoking. I mean, here we are. I mean, and kudos to Henry Cejudo. Like Witt said, I actually was like, man, I like this Henry. You know what I mean? What he was doing Saturday night, the things he was saying. I was like, where's this Henry at? Where's this, even up to Bob, you even mentioned things he was saying going into fight week was like, that's not the king of cringe that we all hate. Like this guy's likable. Should have been. I wish the likable Henry was around a little bit longer, but unfortunately, we'll see him right off into the sunset.
Yeah, probably like the most entertaining fight on the card, like the main card, going back and forth there.
Yeah,
and it was definitely cool when Peyton hit that takedown there. He was really enjoying all that. But it's like the perfect fight to go out, especially when you kind of know they were like hoping that would be the result with the matchmaking and stuff. And, he just left everything out there. He was definitely taking some damage towards the end of the fight there. But it was a little bit kind of choreographed when they were talking to each other afterwards, like him and Dana. But I was really glad to see them take care of him and give him like the video and stuff. And I do have to say that's probably the best retirement video that the UFC has ever done. I like how they showed both of his runs like separately for the titles and stuff. And there was a lot of effort kind of going into it, and you could really feel that. And he's kind of gonna always be this like what if, because he like retired straight in his prime, like the first fight back from the pandemic. But I still think down the line people are still gonna like have fond memories for him for the fights he gave us. So I think he could have had like a better night for losing, like everything kind of worked out. And he kind of passed it all to Peyton. I was kind of liking their father-son dynamic during the press conference and stuff. So, Henry showed me a lot.
And then to try to end the beef with Brandon Moreno at that, too.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That seemed way too You always get me to go back to hating on him, but like that was a little much. But like, yeah, good for you, Henry. Like, get all
he's
the
trying. He's trying, Bobby. He's trying. He's like a you know.
But yeah,
like
no, I
an
mean,
AA
he should
meeting.
be happy about the performance. And you know, it's good to see him kind of like go out on his terms, like knowing that this was going to be the last one. So I think it couldn't have worked out better for him, and it obviously couldn't have worked out better. I mean, to me, I had it 30-27. I didn't give Henry a round,
Me
but
neither.
it was still a very entertaining back and forth fight.
Yeah. Real quick to kind of finish it out. You had Guskov and Jan Blachowicz end in a draw. Manel. What?
Hey,
fight. I'm sorry.
That was Spider-Man versus Spider-Man right there, dog. I was like, these boys look the same. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I remember Boggins texting me, and he's like, "Yeah, I think that round was a 10-8." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't think that was a 10-8." And then it ended up being a fucking draw. And I texted back like, "Well, I guess it was a 10-8."
Exactly. I told you it was a 10-8. Manel Torres with an upset win over Grant Dawson. How about Chris Duncan and Terrence McKinney? I mean, those fights are never going to last long, and well, it didn't last long. Macy Barber with the nice win, huge bounce back win for Macy Barber.
What on the Macy Barber thing? Like Mark Smith, you are a fucking moron. Okay, continue. Thank you.
Yeah, agreed. Might be time for Marvin Vettori to hang it up. Jalen Turner, welcome back to the UFC.
It's absolutely time for Edson Barbosa to hang it up. I was really disappointed he didn't lay his gloves down. But yes, shout out to Jalen Turner, great win.
I got to jump on that one. Look, bro, you took the words out of my mouth. Somewhere in my mind, flashing through that fight, I was like, yo, he looks like how he looked when he fought years ago, but it just wasn't the same output. And big shouts out to Jalen Turner, dog. Like, you know, we're all adults. We've all been through some really traumatic things where we thought we were going to do something else, and you know, we kind of lose interest in it, or it takes a toll on us, whether it be mentally or with our families. We've all been through that type of stuff. But I can't imagine how Jalen Turner felt, you know, accomplishing a goal after returning back to the ring and, you know, getting out there and telling the story that, you know, he thought he kind of lost it. He didn't think he was ever going to be able to do it again. And then he goes out there and beats, you know, and let's not sleep on it. Edson Barbosa is technically one of the greats in the division at one point in time. So I give him a lot of credit for going out there and not being scared to live out his dreams. And I think it was pretty cool, man. If you know, kids were watching, my kids were watching that part of the prelim. So like, I was like, y'all see that? Y'all hear it? He didn't give up. I felt old in that moment. I was like, y'all heard that? I rewound it a little bit. I was like, see, he could have quit. He didn't quit. He went back and trained some more. You know, so big shouts out to Jalen Turner on that one.
Yeah, it was good to see him get back after some time off after a retirement that, well, we all knew that wasn't going to be lasting long.
That Marvin Vettori fight was fucking terrible too, because like up until that point, I think we had 8 finishes in a row, and then that fight just made me forget how odd, like just terrible.
Yeah.
Vettori just has bad luck in times in which.
Well, you can't. Vettori's problem is like he's still so fucking tough. You can't put him down, but he's not.
You can't put him down, but he also can't put other people down. Is what's disappointing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's get into this final card of the year. Final card on ESPN. It is headlined by Brandon Royval versus Manel Cape. One of these guys, maybe, possibly. I would love to see if Royval wins. Give me fucking Van and Royval again for 5 rounds. I mean, fuck it, Taitora. Fuck what's the other Japanese guy that just recently won that's trying to make his way? Hiraguchi. Like, now, give me Brandon Royval versus Josh Van 2 in 5 rounds. If Royval wins, real quick, just kind of run down the card, and then we'll kind of pick the just kind of talk about the main. And if you guys want to add another fight in here, you got Giga Chikazi versus Kevin Vajillos as the co-main. This is and once at the Apex, I forgot to mention that. So
this is Elite Pecs, though. I'm excited for this one.
Elite Pecs.
You excited about Olympics, right, Bobby?
This is some Elite Pecs. I can't wait.
You got Cesar Almeida versus Olzacek. I like this guy here, the Costa kid versus Melky Costa.
Yeah, Milky Cortez versus the Last Pirate is the fight I circled.
That's gonna be, that might be fight of the night right there. Agreed. That's gonna be a banger. King Green returns against Lance Gibson Jr. Amanda Lamoche versus Jillian Robertson in a nice fight in the women's strawweight. And you got Uncle Neil on the card.
You see him? You see him? You see Uncle Neil on the card?
Bringing in, welcoming former Bellator champion I'm going to butcher his name, Amazov. Former Bellator champion. I actually saw a cool video. He's from Ukraine, and he actually had to hide his belt in his house during the bombings, and then was full in uniform and went and got his Bellator belt. So
I did see that too. Yeah, he went and found his stuff, right?
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised this is so low on the card. Same. I think the UFC is a little wary of these.
I think they're giving him the RDR treatment. To me, that's what that is.
I think they're a little bit more wary of ever since Pico, Pitbull. I think that's why they're slow, because you could just make an argument to easily have this on the main card, especially because of Neil Magny. Everyone knows Uncle Neil. So
yeah. You guys' thoughts, Bobby? I'll start with you. Is there any card that you want to talk about other than the main? And thoughts on the main?
It would absolutely be Milky Cortez versus the Last Pirate. How do you pronounce his last name? I will.
Sharir.
Yeah, I think it's too close to, I always think it's too close to Chatri, and I always say Chatri, and I know it's not Chatri.
It's like it might be Charrier.
I think, yeah.
His friend.
Yeah, I mean, that one's going to be very exciting. Milky's really been on a streak, and I'm kind of interested to see if he can keep putting it together. He's been trying to get a fight for a cool minute, and the odds are minus 110. I couldn't agree with them more. I think it's a very even fight on paper, and that one's kind of circled for my fight of the night. I'm almost worried to gas up fights anymore because of the Joshua Van result. I forgot to mention that. So, the next few weeks, if I'm a little gun shy, that's, going to be why. But that one's going to be really good. And you got some heavyweight slop on here. I don't know if you watched Contender Series, but the big guy that told Dana White he would suck his toes if he would sign him, that guy's fighting.
Is he? Where's Steve Osplund? Yeah.
Yeah. So that should be mildly entertaining as well. So I think they're actually kind of going out with a bang. I did also on the pay-per-view they were doing this. I'm sure they'll do it on this card. They're showing us old ESPN memories, moments that happen. So I would expect them to kind of be repeating that. I'm curious if they do an all Apex one. That would be the ultimate troll job from the UFC to ESPN, because I do find it quite funny. They're going out kind of in the same place that is the reason why ESPN was nah, we're good, sort of thing. But at the same time,
they got the Apex because so Dana can spend time with his family. So remember that, we're at the, Dana's only seeing his family twice a week, or twice a year.
He's going to see his family a lot less, because I hear they're expanding Contender Series to like 24 weeks or some shit. So, you know,
series
they like announced that's going to be like
Paramount
stuff. So they're just going to have all that content on there.
Yeah, but that's at the Apex at least. So, you know, you don't have to leave really.
Yeah. But
he just go from room to room and just looks disappointed at everything he sees.
The as far as the main event goes, I think it's a perfect fight to end the year. We were supposed to get this fight originally, and you know.
Oh yeah, that's who Joshua Van stepped in for, right?
Yeah. So it's kind of cool that like a week after the title gets put on him, like that match is actually happening again. So that's kind of interesting. You know, Raw Dog always brings it, and I'm, you know, a lot of people like really don't know what to do with Kite. I'm fairly high on him. I do think he can like be a problem in this division if he can like just have some consistency. He already made weight today, and he did seem quite a bit bigger than Royval at the face-off. But you know, Royval's always game. But if I were to pick this, I would probably lean on Kite decision, because I just don't know with the damage that Rada took last time. He talked about his team wanting him to fight smarter. I don't know if you can really do that with Cop, because he's going to be right in your face. So, but at the same time, it would not shock me at all if Royval was able to get the victory, but I'd probably lean Kite.
Yeah. Whit, your thoughts here? You're good. You got the baby.
Yeah, he's crying.
Right. If you got to hop off, Whit, that's cool. We'll let you go handle baby. We're going to wrap up here anyway.
All I want to do is throw out here real quick. Hey, look, I wasn't around, but real quick, I want everybody to know, somehow, some way, Lamont Roach had another draw. How in the hell does this man have 2 draws in a row? He fought Isak Cruz, that's right, Pitbull Cruz, ended in a draw, same card, O'Shaky Foster, Stephen Fulton. O'Shaky Foster put him down on the ground. But we got next week, y'all. We got to have it. We got to watch it. We got to talk about it a little bit more, of course. Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua, bro. It's going to happen. I'm more interested in Alicia Bumgardner and Layla Boudin. I can't wait to see that. Anderson Silva and Tyron Woodley are going to box. Ooh, I can't wait to see that. We are gonna make sure that we understand that we are not as excited as seeing a UFC pay-per-view, but we will end the year with Jake Paul actually fighting a real fighter, you guys, in Anthony Joshua, and we will at least get to see him put on some type of display where he won't just be paying to knock a guy out on pay-per-view.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next week since there's not much to talk about, but we'll let you take care of the kids. All right, see you, brother. You, Bobby, back to this Saturday's main event. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. Actually, I think Royval gets. Royval's one of my favorite. Man, there's so many I love. I was talking to somebody today about the flyweights, and I just like so many of them. Like Moreno, I'm a fan. Royval, I'm a fan. Pantoja, I'm a fan. It's just like their fighting style.
My favorite division next to 170 easily.
Yeah. What they're doing. Give me. I'm going. Baby, I like it raw. Yeah, I like it raw. Give me the Raw Dog, baby. I think Raw Dog by decision gets it done. I just think that he's been in there more. Manel I feel like always something happens. If Manel wins, prepare. He'll get those last racial slurs in on the ESPN.
Yeah, if you're able to, I know you just got betting. If you're able to bet that a foul happens in this fight, I would bet yes.
Yeah. Is there a racial slur that Manel Cape will say? Any final thoughts, Bob, before we get out of here?
No, I think that about covers it. PFL is also on tomorrow morning. You got Chris Cyborg. You got what they're doing at heavyweight to actually crown a heavyweight champion. So that should be interesting. So we could probably mention the results of that as well as the Apex on Saturday there.
Yeah, I forgot about the major PFL card. It'll be interesting what happens there. We'll talk a lot more of this stuff. Like I said, we got 6 weeks after this week to, talk about all the things that we haven't really talked about the last few weeks because we've had fights and everything else. So we'll get into more of the news stuff during the break, Francis and all this stuff. We'll have an award show, talk about all that, and our prediction show for the year. So, all right, well, that'll cover a few weeks of it at least. So, other than that, we'll be back at our normal time next week, 8 o'clock Central on Wednesday, 9 Eastern. So please tune in. Other than that, Bobby's got to go get some sushi. I'm going to go hang out on the couch. So. Have a great weekend, folks. Enjoy the fights. Be a friend, tell a friend, like, subscribe, share. We'll catch you next week back at our normal time, 8 o'clock Central, 9 Eastern, Wednesday. See you then.
Enjoy the end of an era.
Thanks so much for joining us, and until next time, let's talk sport, friends. Thanks for watching.